second time this evening. Good evening, all councillors. This is our annual town council meeting in May. It's going to be my last meeting with the chair, so thanks to all of you for your help and support, and particularly to Tom and to the office staff, without whom nothing is possible. The very first item on the agenda is to elect a mayor for the coming year. Nominations do we have?
I've had 2 nominations. I've had a nomination for Councillor Clark, and I've also had a nomination for Councillor Chesser.
I'm aware from a conversation I had with Councillor Chesser that she wasn't proposing to pursue that nomination. Is that still your position?
Yes.
Okay.
That makes things
Sorry,
slightly
Mr.
simpler.
Chairman, could you please repeat the names of the nominees?
Well, the nominees were Councillors Clark and Chesser. However, Councillor Chesser did have a conversation with me a couple of weeks or so ago, indicating that for personal reasons that she didn't feel able to pursue that at the present time. So effectively, we now have one
Who is?
candidate.
Ah,
It's Councillor Clark to my left.
do we have to do the proposition and stuff like that?
But on the basis that we only actually have one valid nomination,
I think we should, though, because it just makes my minutes look nice.
The gentleman who's just put his hand up.
Yes.
Fuller. And seconded by,
So, am I allowed to say anything quickly?
yes,
Are we just going to say all in favour, though, first? Or
well,
who's in
you will
favour?
speak to it, but do it very quickly.
I'll do it very
We've got
quickly.
quite a long agenda.
The first thing I want to say is appreciation to Councillor Chapel for his mayorship. It's been an excellent year and he's done a fantastic job. I just want that written down as a minute.
Mhm.
Because I think we've had a very good year. Secondly, I'm nominating Councillor Clark because I believe he has unfinished business in his job as mayor. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he does in the next year. It's going to be a very interesting year and a very promising year. But he has my full confidence as mayor. And I'm pushing him forward for that.
It has been validly seconded, so all those in favour please indicate. It is unanimous. I suppose I want to be forward, but I will just abstract.
It feels like a hangman's. Thank you very much, David. It's not very blank. Very much. So,
To both.
oh, where is this sign?
And then I'll
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, David. Thank you to you for all the work you've done. I will long remember your speech at the Remembrance Day. British Legion, so thank you very much for everything. And thank you, David, for your awesome words. I'm worried about unfinished business. Sounds dodgy.
Obviously. Well, it's based
No,
on
thank you.
previously.
Do we get straight on to the next? So
Yes.
to vote on the election of deputy mayor, I think we've had one candidate put forward for that, which is Councillor Wayne, which I propose, I think they seconded. He's not with us at the moment due to walking in Yorkshire all wet, but so we can't ask any questions, but I think we all know what John will do. So Emma, are we okay to go straight to vote on that?
Yep.
Fantastic. So all in favour of John as deputy?
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I'm
staying on them.
Yep, and abstention over there. Rupert, are you abstaining?
Abstaining.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you very much. So is that all good?
Yep, that's fine.
Lovely. So apologies for absence. I think we've got 3 apologies from Councillors Shura and Wade and Hutton. Are we all okay to accept those?
Yep.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Declarations of interest, not independence. Too much teaching the Declaration of Independence. Any declaration of interests, pecuniary it's appropriately separate. As always, if anything comes up, let us know during the meeting. Minutes of the last full council meeting, which we have in front of us. Anything to rise or develop from any of those things? I've written down Andy and Water. Why have I written that down? Oh, because we said we were going to write to Andy and Water. Have you heard from them?
What about
The,
Ashton?
Ashton.
Yes, but if you remember, I was told to write to Tom Perskell again and get him to pursue it, which he did. He first of all wrote to Northants Council, who then came back and said it wasn't anything to do with them, and so he's now writing to Anglian Water.
So we wait and see what's what. I've got the minutes here. No other questions or queries about them? Can someone propose, please, that I'm looking to sign? Yeah, Jamie, thank you very much. Someone second it. David, thank you. All in favour of me signing those? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Public participation. No one here.
No,
Consideration of requests from interested parties. Anything at all?
no.
No. North Northampton Council.
Had apologies from Councillor Best.
And we've invited Councillor Harrison.
Yeah.
Smithers. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Town matters. Two things that I put on the agenda just after the last meeting. I think they're pretty straightforward. One of them was consider asking Link to do an access to cash review in the Oundle area. This is something I saw in the newspaper, I think it was. Oakham have just had a bank hub opened, so they've got a building in the middle of town that 4 or 5 banks have come together. They share, one of them does a Monday, one does a Tuesday, etc. And it said, I quote, the process was started via a cash review. And this is where you contact Link and they make a judgment about whether there's enough access to cash in an area. I'm sure it's a fairly straightforward online form. I'm happy to do grant work, but I thought at least see what people thought. Can't be any harm there.
Go for it. Such as no brainer.
Okay, right, I shall go on with that. Secondly, to send a vote of thanks to all those involved in the ongoing Repair Cafe and IT Amnesty. I popped in just to sort of give my support because I thought it might be needed and hand over a couple of old mobile phones. I had no idea it was going to be as busy as it was. There were queues in the bar room, downstairs, people were queuing to hand stuff over. The car park was heaving. It was great. Lots and lots of people walking in, cycling in. It's good for our green agenda, it's good for our profile, and it's just a good thing. So I thought it would be a nice thing for us to give a formal vote of thanks to all those involved. Lovely, thank you very much indeed. 2410, received the Mayor's report. David, you put forward a report?
Yes, there's a couple of things on it. I forgot to keep a copy of it with me. Did I actually put anything on there about the Police and Crime Commissioner thing?
Yes.
I did, I think I did.
Yeah.
The response from the public was, to say the least, disappointing. To put it this way, 2 of the people in this room were present, and I reckon we made up about 20% of the people who were there. It really wasn't
But
a very small turnout.
From a county point of view, it's disappointing as well. It was tiny numbers.
Yes. But there we are. It's not something that captures the public imagination.
Well, as one of the, if you like, the people who was hosting this event, I was disappointed at the turnout from this council, actually.
I think I'll hold my hand up and say I couldn't make it because I was on duty, but it was organised incredibly short notice.
Yeah, it was very short notice.
Within a week.
But I mean, maybe the point can be made the other way, that we can't, we need to have more notice for things.
Can I say, yeah, I'm not going to make any apologies about not attending, but I think politically, it's a politically driven appointment.
True.
It's not impartial. So if you want to play it that way, the turnout was pretty poor across the country for police and crime commissioners.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a political appointment. It's not somebody like it used to be with the police authority where you had 17 people on the committee. You've got 3 people that are aligned to whichever political party is in power, and that party will drive whatever agenda they've got in terms of policing and fire service. So if you want to know why I wasn't here, that's the very reason I was here. It's too politically driven.
But again, just on that basis, it was probably worth offering those that wanted to question
Yeah.
people. And then,
Well, we did though, didn't we?
yeah, exactly.
We did.
And we
Yeah.
did.
So
And the nice thing was we did it in partnership with Barnwell and the other parishes.
Yeah, I think there were 3 from Barnwell.
Yeah, as
came
a
over.
model going
Yes.
forward,
Yeah.
it's a good idea, but we can do it better.
More warning next time.
Yeah. Well, we've got to get more warning from them.
Mm,
They-
yeah.
they-
That's what I was
They offer the
thinking.
invite a week beforehand. But yeah. What do you
Yeah.
mind?
The only other thing I'd mention is that because I was away on holiday, I wasn't able to go to the Vintage Festival Saturday. However, I was receiving photographs from my daughter showing a couple of very happy grandchildren availing themselves of the rides and so on. It all sounded as if it was
Mm.
a good time happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Seem to have a good break and buzz about it, which is great.
We probably ought to send congratulations to
Yes.
the team for putting that on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. To receive the clerk's report, anything anyone wants to raise in this report? I was going to raise 2 things that caught my eye. One was, there was mention of the Greenway. I've been in contact with the NNC person,
Lucy Hawes, yeah.
And Tony and I, and hopefully Max will be meeting her here next week to look at maps and have a chat and see what's what. I don't know what will come of it, but at least it's moving forward. I was just wondering if there's any movement on the emergency plan.
No, not at the moment.
if I may, before my delayed wife leaves her current post, which is all about emergency planning, exercising and getting community groups involved to help with any plan we have, perhaps Mr. Foyle and I can have an early meeting. Somehow we can diarise some
Next
meetings.
week's probably a good time.
Next week. I guess after, but yeah, if we could, that'd be helpful. And then we can pick my delayed brains about
This week,
Yeah.
Friday.
well, this Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good, perfect.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
communicate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. 241003, review and approve OTC standing orders. I don't think there's anything particularly exciting in this, but.
No, it's just that I should have really done it the other way around. We've got brand new financial regulations that have just been published, and I know that there is some talk that we might want to look at those and maybe increase the limits for each committee. So I think there's no point in this. I think we just table the standing orders this month, because at finance we'll look at the financial regulations that will come back in June, because that will have a bearing on the standing orders, because we may need to change the agreed limits. So there's no point in, I don't think, approving them now to then have to change them. Yeah.
So effectively, we're going to sort of table them and say we've looked at them, but because there's no significant change, hold them over until June.
Yeah.
And then in June, the Finance and General Purposes Committee will look at the standing orders, making the tweaks we want, and then bring them back here
Mhm.
for final approval. So it all gets done in one kit and caboodle, which I think makes complete sense if we're all okay with that.
Yeah.
So we'll say we've reviewed and put on hold
Yeah.
all the change. And the same, I suppose, with the next item, the new financial regulations. It all looks fine, but again, if
Mhm.
there's a tweak that we want to make, that's the time to do it. So are we okay with those 2 points?
Yeah.
241005, received the asset register for 2024. The only thing I flagged up was the iPads again, but I know we've still got them at the moment. But I was just wondering whether it's something that in the next few months the Estates Commission might look at just reviewing whether we've got the right number of chairs and things like that. So might be something we want to look at. 2410 to approve the grants policy. Any questions on the grants policy?
I think we only changed one word, didn't we, in the finance? Did we just add similar?
We did, and I have
Yeah.
a copy of it, which is lost. There we go. To review the grants policy, it was agreed that we include the words similar to the following paragraph. The council will not provide financial assistance or other support to religious organisations for the promotion of any religion or to political parties or similar organisations for promotion of themselves. It's just a tweak. So we've got those to approve. You okay,
On
John?
those.
We'll stop with someone second.
Yeah.
James in a second. Go ahead and vote on that. Thank you very much. 2411, membership of committees and working parties. As last year, all throwing our hats up, if we just assume that everything is normal, unless anyone would want to change. Planning committee. So myself and myself or John should join the planning committee.
We are slightly down, we've only now got 5. And for the last couple of meetings, we've bumped to number 3, which is the quorum. So having an extra pair of hands or two.
Since John's not here, I'll volunteer him, and I'll volunteer myself as well. So if John and I join the planning group. Estates, I don't think Red wants to be on it anymore. She's not the council. Liz, are you?
Yep.
Brilliant, thank you very much indeed.
Well, my name should be on there, but it isn't. But I'm wondering if it should be, given that I'm away on this year.
Well, it's on my list, on my minutes, though. Yeah. But it's up to you. I don't want to force you into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to attend when
You can.
I'm here, but
Mm.
I've made excuse
Yeah.
I'm away on this
Still
year.
makes a difference.
Yeah, better to have your input than not.
Still makes a difference.
I'll stay on there.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Yes.
Finance,
Mhm. Oh, and I was just going to say, because that would then still leave you as 5, which there may be a time when you are here that you would be able to attend that would prevent you from maybe not being in quorum. So,
finance and general purposes, no one's desperate to join that, I imagine. No, fair enough. Personnel.
well, just one thing, it will be whoever becomes head of estates
Right.
as well. So,
Right, thanks over that. Personnel, anyone desperate? No, and comms, Liz, are you interested in comms?
mhm.
Put you on, that would be great.
Yeah, that's come welcome to Tom's.
With the climate working group, if there are non-councillors on there, we don't need to put them on here, do
What if nobody wants to be on
we?
it?
No, we've got Mark Felton's involved a bit, and we've got that other person that emailed me.
Yeah, you could add him to your working
So
party.
Mark Felton's on.
Mhm, yeah.
I can't remember the other person.
I've also added onto my list the transport working party, which is just yourself and David. Is that still a working party, all right, or is it?
Well, it's a working party, but we've got a report, but yeah. It would be good to get more people on the transport group, anyone's desperate, but we don't need very often,
Hmm,
that's fine. But yeah,
just leave it as it is then.
it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Lovely, and so every committee and working party has its first meeting, approves chairman, vice chair, etc. Everyone okay with all of those?
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Terms of reference to approve the finance and general purposes committee's terms of reference. The only thing I was going to flag up from here was the recommendation that the committee does a 3-year programme for projects and capital expenditure, and it would be good if the estates group and that tied up, so we do have a rolling sort of budget plan over the next 3 years. Do we need to approve that?
Yeah, we'll approve those.
I'm happy to propose that we approve those. David seconded them. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much. And then the next shopping list, the council representatives on the following bodies. We've got 4 people on the Museum Trust, You okay to stay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think you're still in the 4-year
The
term.
plan is to do it as a 4-year term, which I think we started that.
And Max in absentia. I'm fine with fair trade. The church clock fund,
It's the mayor and deputy mayor.
right, so that'll be myself and John. And as you said, the meeting this year was short and sweet.
They always are.
10 minutes on Zoom, it was nice.
Yeah.
OBA, Paul, do you want to stay on that? Do that. Chat, Lita?
Yeah, I should actually say there's been a recent change at Chat. I don't know if this is the right time to raise it, but the previous CEO left and they changed the role to be the clinical business manager and advertised the role. And it so happens that my daughter was successful in obtaining the role. So I don't know if that's a conflict of interest. It doesn't seem to be for Chat because I'm just a trustee and I don't have direct line management. So.
No, it wouldn't be
but
because
I'm
obviously,
just
yeah,
like declaring
yeah.
here and now.
Mhm.
That's
Sorry,
all.
the owl hurt you. It's all out there now. So thank you for bringing that forward. Volunteer action, Rupert, are you still okay with volunteer action?
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Jerry on transition handle. Parson Latham's council representative.
It was Liz, but at the time when we appointed Liz, when she went to the, no, sorry, Liz Holland, yeah. When she went to the meeting, they were in the, I think they were in the middle of changing their constitution, and so I don't even think they really wanted a representative, but I think she did go to a couple of meetings, so I don't know. And I've had no correspondence with anybody from.
So it's worth leaving that.
What is that?
I think it runs the arms houses as
Yeah.
were down by London, near the traffic lights on the
There's two
street.
sets.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a charitable organisation that
Those two lovely.
has houses that are given to people. Normally, they're people over 60, I think, have lived in the town for more than 5 years, and then they have a trust, there's a trust fund type thing set up.
Is that just
So-
past the bridge as you're entering?
No, as you go West Street, on the right-hand side.
Oh,
Between-
North Street.
North Street.
Yes,
oh,
right.
North Street, yeah, North Street.
Yes.
You go in behind the double gates.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
And
It's lovely. It's so beautiful as well.
Yeah.
the only thing I would
Yeah, thought they
ask,
were on something.
if they don't want us on there, because it is set up as it is, should we not ask to see a copy of the Constitution, just to see where we would fit? Because I know previously we've had ex-councillors who have been on as trustees. I know
Yeah.
Stephen Webster's on there. So
Peter Peel's still
was
on.
there a member of the council there for sort of, just to put some audit in there? I don't know.
As long as I can remember, which now is a very long time, the council had always either had a councillor or somebody put forward by the council as in effect a council representative.
Yeah.
I don't know what has happened, but I think it would be unfortunate if our potential role within that organisation to cease. So I would invite the clerk to make contact with them, find out what the position is, and indicate that the council would wish to continue to be able to nominate a trustee.
Because June was on it, I think, wasn't June Round was.
Over the
I
years.
think Gwen's on it, Gwen Radcliffe's on it.
When Wayne Radcliffe
Yeah.
was also previously.
So, I mean, I'm certainly interested in doing it if that opportunity presented itself. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I like.
But I have no idea whether or not there is still a
So
role
worth,
for it.
yeah, worth finding out. And
Yeah, I'll find, I'll contact them.
241202, thank you to everyone for volunteering or being volunteered there. 241202, Council Flood Warden, Councillor Fuller.
Yeah.
Lovely. 241303, Parish Park Warden, Tony Well. Well, I'm sure he's happy to do it. Parish Tree Warden,
This is-
1304.
This is new.
New,
Yeah,
you can say.
new.
Is that
We've
what
not had
it
this
was?
before. Clive came in to see me a few weeks ago just to say he'd been appointed through NNC as the parish tree warden doesn't mean that he's a person that will go around checking trees to see if they're dangerous or advising people on what they should do with their trees, but it's more about just being aware of the trees that are in Oundle and if there are particular places where we need new trees, that sort of thing.
Clive is on the nature recovery group at the moment, and he works, he's basically single-handedly reforested all the woods up by the far end there, so he knows the thing or two about trees, so that's excellent. So yes, absolutely happy to confirm. 2 verification councillors, we've had councillors Hutton and Wade doing a very good job. They're not here, so we can probably assume they'll be okay to do it again. And the police liaison rep, Councillor Fuller.
Yes, do.
You all right, send it out?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. 2414, financial matters, to approve the bank.
Can I leave? Is that all right?
Thank you very much indeed, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
To approve the bank reconciliation balance sheet budget for April 24. There's some blanks on there.
I know, I was just going to say, I didn't put them in this time. So I will let you know when you have had the bank statement, so you'll see them on the bank statement. But it's £122,754.70 in the bank ordinary bank account, and then in the savings account we've got £628,266.16. Yeah, because we've had our first precept.
All the numbers I've got down here, but
Yeah.
that's good. I was also going to ask, but it sounds like maybe it's the refund on EDF, is that coming through into some of those numbers, or?
Yeah, well, it would be in. Yeah, I think we did have it, or did we have it in May? I don't know. I can't. I'll have to check.
Yeah. The number on the back side is 71,000. So that's the EDF money back with formula.
Yeah.
Still to be resolved probably. So we need to approve those. I'm happy to propose them. David seconded, and we're okay to vote on that. Lovely, thank you very much. 2414, payments for April 24. Scheduled payments for April 2024 is presented and paid up, and all related documentation and checks are signed. Any questions or queries about payment? No, I'm happy to propose those. David's happy to second. We'll be all okay to vote on that. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. 1403, receive the internal control checklist for January to March. The only note on there is about the EDF issue, which needs to be tweaked before a VAT thing needs to happen. So that all looks good. 241404, to receive the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting minutes from the 16th of April, which I think we were hoping to review the financial regulations, but we weren't out in time.
Yeah.
And we made the tweak to the grants policy that we've already voted on. So I don't think there's anything particularly exciting there. 1405, approve the list of direct debits and standing orders from 2425.
They were in the last sheet of the monthly payments,
And there's
just in case you hadn't.
nothing
Didn't know.
new or exciting about it.
Same.
So I'm happy to approve that list. Anyone's willing to second it? David is. Oh, Val, sorry. Val. You want to vote on that? Lovely, thank you very much indeed. 1406, approve the internal audit report for 23-24. Unless anyone wants to dig down into it, I've got a quote from it. Quote, very good order and follow due process in all elements, which is great to see. So I think our thanks to Paul and Emma for keeping everything on the straight and narrow. There's no recommendations or anything we need to take is particularly good, which is brilliant. And then 1407, the annual governance statement. Thank you very much. Section 1 of the annual return. This is the slightly odd bit. We have to read stuff out. So section 1. Which bit section 1? The governance statement, there we go. So this is where I have to pretend I'm in a theatre, is that right?
You read it out, but we do answer yes to all the questions, so well, we should do.
I'll read out a question, hopefully you'll all say yes at the end of it. And then I tick the yes box, is that right?
You can tick it, yes. Have you still got a red pen?
Yes.
Can you not do it with that?
Sorry. Suitably unprepared. So, number one, we have put in place, arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements.
Yes.
Yes.
Very generic. We maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption and review its effectiveness.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances.
Yes.
We provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations.
Yes.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required. Yes. We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit to the accounting records and control systems.
Yes.
We took appropriate action on all matters raised in the reports of internal and external audit.
Yes.
We considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and were appropriate and included them in the accounting statements.
Yeah.
That's the one. The next one's ticked already.
Yeah, I did that.
That's the one. So I'm okay to sign those. Do I need to
Yeah,
vote
if you
on that?
sign,
It says approve.
let's have a proposer and a seconder.
Do
Do you want to propose and
I'll
second?
propose that we sign those, they will second it, you're looking to vote.
Mhm.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And 24-1408 to approve the accounting statement of the annual return. This is the one with lots of numbers on. I don't need to read all this, right? No, I separate pass it. We've seen copies of this.
It's sort of circulated.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happy to propose that we approve that as per the thing that's been circulated. David's happy to second it. Are we all okay to vote? Thank you very much indeed.
And if you could just sign that page as well.
Done that. I'll sign it with a sticker against it.
Bec-
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, David. 22-1409 to approve the quotes for food festival and Christmas marshals. We have those in front of them. I think they did a pretty good job on Saturday. Every time I cycle past them, I get grumbles about people doing this and residents doing that, and so on, because I once spoke to them about things.
Just a note, when I was reading that, I just thought it wasn't a very detailed quote. It was just like provide 12 staff from this time. But there was no detail about what their responsibilities were, and I would have thought that would have been included. But if we're happy with the way it was,
we've used them for a few years,
yeah,
so
they will know
we know,
what they provide.
they know what, we know what they provide,
Yeah.
and they tell us what they're doing. So,
I just thought for the sake of records, it just wasn't very detailed, but it's just a question given.
Yeah, that's a valid point. We must have the original sort of, because basically they did it well once, and we just gone with the same setup each time.
yeah, I mean, well, certain tweaks, because after each one, they go through a full debrief, and then anything that we need to change, we change, ready for the next year.
My thinking was just if there was any issues, unless we've got something to come back with, say, well, this is what we're paying you for, and it's quite a lot of money, then, you know, what do we do? If,
It's tricky because Lisa and I are totally aware of what they do and what we're getting from them. So we have records. So, and then if there was any issue,
They're very good.
they're very reliable. They're very
I'm sure
good.
they are.
Yeah.
I
So,
just a bit of a stick.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we had issues last year. One of them got hit by a car, and we had to do full police statements and everything for that. So,
I mean, it's a valid point, but because we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
it's probably okay. So we need to approve the quotes. I'm happy to propose them.
On the basis the clerk is happy, I'm happy.
Lovely. So we've got a seconder. So we're all okay to vote on approving those two. Lovely. Thank you very much. I suppose the only thing is comms. The better we can get the word out to residents about chipping around the Walmart system.
I must say, the Vintage Fair, the letter that was put through the door for the Vintage Fair, and that my neighbour said, wasn't that nice? It was the way it was done, so we didn't mind doing it, because it was so nice. I thought, we have to go down, because, it happens quite often when road closures, isn't it? Which is good, because lots goes on in the town, and I think it's about how we approach residents, I think that is good.
we normally send a letter to every resident.
It doesn't have quite such a friendly kind of
It's
nicely nice. If you read the Vintage one, it was very kind of friendly.
Oh, it'd be, yeah.
So,
We'll have a look at that. We need to be nice, a bit more friendly.
I've got to say, I was in Lincoln a couple of weeks ago, and their closure system was really good. And the thing that I got most excited about was all their little banners, the little passenger footpath barrier signs had a little cloth over the top with Lincoln City or whatever. And I asked a few people where they got it from, I don't know, but it certainly it softened things a little bit. So maybe that's a good thing. 24/14/10 to approve the new contract for gas and electric. So we've got lots of bits of paper, lots of quotes, lots of numbers. I tried to number crunch them a few times. At the moment, I think I'm right saying our current electricity rates are 29p a unit. The cheapest one, the sort of coal-fired EDF quote, is 22p a unit. The renewable one is around 24p, and the nuclear one is about 23, 24p. So in other words, there's a cheaper one, but with our carbon green agenda, we should hopefully maybe go renewable. And it's still 5p a unit cheaper than that.
was that all with EDF? Was that the one? Because
Well,
there were other companies on there,
Yeah,
weren't
there were,
The Crown and the EG.
and I was wondering if there's an
BG.
argument. Yeah, BG and Crown. but
British
we're-
Gas, yeah.
We're still slightly unsure about how our EDF.
We've still got an open complaint with them with regards to the amount of money that they took, because both Paul and I still think that they have got more money of ours than they should. So for the sake of 12 months, I personally think we should stay with them for another 12 months, because if we don't, we won't see any of
It was
that.
quite a big difference though, wasn't it?
Well,
Wasn't it? It was 51 with the British
Yeah,
Gas. and then-
there isn't the number. A lot of the number is they've taken the units from the courthouse reading, which are very high. So,
Okay.
yeah, and so I think they're unfeasibly high, so if we can reduce consumption. So we're giving a smart meter at the courthouse. Is that what it's doing?
And
Is that what you're thinking about, going with the renewable?
Yeah, well, that would be my suggestion. The unmetered EDF are the only. sort of-
Yeah, we'd have to stay with EDF with them
Can we
anyway.
Change that, so we put a meter in, is that going
That's
forward?
exactly-
It's for street lights, it's not metered.
Ah,
Mm,
that's.
mm.
Streetlights and.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure, I thought that was the courthouse lights and the ones.
So,
I don't know, I just think in the current climate, the value for money is quite important for people and for local residents. Although the green agenda is a big agenda, is there more of a balanced one that kind of ticks boxes for both? Because I think we do need to be conscious that people are struggling and we see our council tax being quite high.
well, they are relatively high, yeah, absolutely the highest in the county, but even the most renewable one is 4p cheaper than we pay at the moment. So there are some better deals. The blue EDF, if I can find it,
Yes,
is the one that's, it's got no carbon, but it's got a higher nuclear level to it than renewable, but that's still no carbon.
Not necessarily this building, but when do we last do an efficiency audit of the courthouse? Because it is one of those buildings where, because I could sit here and say it's probably still one of the coldest buildings in town, maybe. And I just wondered if we do an audit of our efficiency, that could identify areas where we can make cost savings, like you walk out of here and the lights would go off, or things like that. And where there are areas that then the states may look at.
well, I think that's something that state's going to look at your next meeting, isn't it? With regards to communal areas having automatic lights switch off.
There was mention in the last estates meeting of that happening, certainly in the museum space and some communal spaces.
Yeah, and upgrading the museum lights as
So
well.
that's something will be on the next agenda, hopefully. So as always, the less power we can use, the better it is. But just to put it in context on the sheets they've given us, they've got this building at around 9 or 10,000 a year. They've got the toilets, I think around 800 a year. Whatever, the courthouse comes in on these figures based on those 2-year blips we just had at 42,000.
So on top of that, then, if we look at efficiency, it comes out that yes, we can make savings.
Yeah, but at the
Knowing
moment,
roof-
yeah,
Knowing the roof space on here and the roof space at the courthouse, things like solar. You know, I know it was a bit of a scoff. I know Cambridge University have gone and put them on top of King's College. And there was a bit of uproar, so, how do you do that? But anyway, you're going to see them as if you've got a drone up there. So really, there's no great issues. I think.
yeah, I'm not
There's
sure
something
about
like
the, whether we get them on the courthouse in the
Conservation
conservation area and those,
But we could look at this and Jeremy and Transition Animal.
I think we have looked at this, yeah.
Yeah. So on that basis, if we were to move to the EDF blue offer, that would be around 25 pence a unit, which is 4p cheaper than we pay at the moment, and about a penny cheaper than the 100% renewable, but it's no carbon. So it's a penny either way. So we stay with EDF. I presume we can stay for a year.
Yeah,
So that we can resolve the issue rather than finding it more expensive for 3 years. So I suppose it's renewables and nuclear, or more renewables and a bit less nuclear. What are our thoughts?
Renewables, I think, there's that.
It's half of the difference.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to propose renewables. Seconded renewables, are we all okay to vote on the renewables?
that's for the electricity, is it?
Yeah, that's the EDF.
And for 12 months.
Renewable, yeah, for 12 months. Gas, I don't think we have a lot of choice, do we?
No,
We've got one, so we can go with that. As we only have one, do we need to vote on that? Or- We've got the different
well, if,
units, haven't we?
I'd lump them in together, so if you're happy to just go with the Crown for 1 year as well, just put that in and we'll go and,
Do we need to approve that? We've only got one supply, so-
I'll take it that you've approved that.
Lovely, thank you very much. 2515, to receive the speed indicator device report. We've got the stats, it's still in the same place. The speeding's gone up by a couple of percent, so that old motto of we need to move it is important. We were hoping to move it to Blackthorn Road, but we haven't had.
The licence updated, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I suppose if we could chase that, that would be great. If not, could we move it to another location, even if we just put it in the side of the road?
Well, yeah, I'll just check. I mean, I'm assuming that I haven't got the list in front of me of what we've got approved, but
Is it
if
the
there's
moment-
one on the other side, we can put it on the other
At the
side.
moment, the speed, the average speed's going up because people are getting used to it.
Just an observation, knowing that it won't be long before they start digging up Stoke Hill Road, can we put it somewhere in the cemetery? As you approach
We've got a site here, something.
I need to check the list. I think there might be one. The only problem is the 30 mile an hour limit is very close.
Further back, it is- yeah.
And so you I think you've sort of you're through it just after the bridge. So I don't think, I'm sure I remember going down there with the guy from NNC and it,
It's very limited, but
Yeah.
Just another way.
yeah. I suppose if all else fails, put it back on Blackpool Road by the black spot. It's,
Mhm.
I would call it,
Where the
the fatality was, yeah. I mean, that would be good for a couple of months, and then we can move it up Blackpool Road with a license.
And the license, yeah.
On
it
the
might be
sec-
if I chase them though,
Right.
again, they may just add it and then,
So if Stokewell Road's possible, great, but otherwise,
Yeah.
Blackpool Road, preferably a new sign, but again, it's just that thing about moving them regularly.
We're going to think back out another one.
We are, and at the last meeting, I watched the video yesterday, and I said, I'm going to contact Helen Harrison about an Emergency Empowerment Fund, and I emailed her that night, and the next day she said, apply for it. So she's hoping she will find the funds, we've got a couple of quotes, and we're just going to get the paperwork sorted, and hopefully that will give us funds for a second device, which will be great.
What about Pennyfield Road again? Because that's such a place where they speed.
Yeah, we can move
I
it.
mean, I walk along there daily and sometimes it's quite scary.
sorry, what's that, Benefield Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That's where we got some of the biggest speeds.
Yeah. It's,
One of the issues we've tried to do with the pricing we've got is to get a solar power, because the problem with what we have is every 2 or 3 weeks, if it's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it flashes a lot, it runs.
It's got 90,000 vehicles going over.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the other nice thing, is we're getting a lot of really good stats.
Yeah.
So I'm graphing all our sat on Teams, so we've got this
Well
graph.
done.
Thank
Can
you.
I make it a sort of another observation? I know it's not in a 30, but New Road is another road that I think we could consider, because there's a lot of footfall through New Road, and there's quite a lot that come.
In Castle Parks.
And there's a lot of in and out and
Yeah,
everything else, and I think it might just give us a flavour, because bear in mind what we had with some of the residents in New Road previously, and with all the developments going on, that will give us a really good indication.
Just on that basis, the 20-mile-an-hour signs that we're hoping to move out of the town centre and put somewhere else, one of the places we talked about was Mill House, was New Road.
That might be a good, it might be a good one to use.
Especially now, so.
I think we've got one on New Road. We've got a position on New Road, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe move it every 6 weeks over the next few months. That'd be great. On the same tone, I've sent you a report. I think Anna sent us all a thing about going to an NNC Kia members information meeting. And I've got to say, I signed up for it and I regretted it. And then I went, and I've given you a report of what I saw. There were 6 people from Kia and 5 of us in the audience, which was an interesting way of spending money. What was really interesting came out of it was learning, and I've highlighted some stuff there about how they rate potholes, which was interesting, but also talking to a couple of the guys locally, including Andy, who's the local customer service agent or something or other. So we have Sarah Barnwell, who works for NNC, and basically Care people opposite these people. And they describe their daily meetings and weekly meetings, and it sounded wonderful. But what was interesting is there's an outstanding pedestrian crossing issue up on Comstock Road, entrance to the primary school. And I kept saying I kept getting notifications that it was being investigated. Yes, you can't keep investigating it. They came along and had a look at it, and we compared notes on Fix My Street. And what was interesting was the fact that they found there are 2 Fix My Streets. There was the one that we were seeing and the one they were receiving reports from, and they weren't the same. So one of the reasons why there's been lots of problems is that there's been 2 systems running in parallel, and sitting and looking at the same screen with different information on, they could suddenly see their system wasn't working. And Fix My Street is apparently run by a charity, which I don't know, it's not bottom of it as well, but they've sorted it all out. The pedestrian crossing is now being painted. They're also very keen to make sure that people in Amber don't feel like they've been forgotten. So hopefully we can keep using those contacts to keep things running forward. They're particularly keen, I think, to come and talk to us about the transport reports view of the marketplace. And we're trying to set up a meeting with them and the business association at the moment, just to look at it. They would be the people that would do the work, but they don't have the money. So that'll be the next question, but at least it's getting questions in. I also put at the bottom of that a recent freedom of information request that I had for a geography piece of work. And it was just comparing the council tax that NNC get from Oundle, which is about £5.5 million, and the business rates that NNC get from Oundle, which is about £1.5 million. And it roughly works out, according to the census, we've got 1.5% of Northampton's population, but we put about 2% into the budget. It's a tiny figure, but you know, we probably need to make sure that we get our fair share of Northampton services. So there we are. I thought it was interesting.
Do I dare ask about the potholes in South Road? Do they, Kira tasked with that, aren't they, to do the potholes?
Kira tasked with everything.
Because that's,
Their general view, and we can report this on the annual town meeting as well. Their messages are, and this is from the area manager, who's really nice, working around him too, do report as many issues as possible, and their recommendation is to use the app on your phone because it pinpoints the location. One of their frustrations is they send their guys out to Wellingborough, and someone's seen something, they've gone home, and they put the flag where they think it is, but the computer's pinned the location as their house. So someone drives out from Wellingborough, you turn up in your drive looking for a pothole because it's taken your home as the location, and they drive home again. Pothole's not fixed, they're frustrated.
so that needs to be communicated out to you.
Absolutely. So we put it in the report and we'll hopefully put it in the town meeting and keep spreading it out. So use the app, put the pin on it, put photos on it, because they can say if it's, the magic number appears to be 50 millimetres. So I've now got a rule with a big tape around it, that's 50 millimetres. And if it's deeper than that, it goes up the category list. Their category lists, P1 is 24 hours, but that's high risk. We went through lots of risk assessments, and it's basically an A road, we'll be calling it, and lots of people can drive. So I don't think either of those counts that. P2 is 7 days, but they still do a risk assessment. Residential roads probably don't do that, but could. Then it goes to 28 days, then it goes to 182 days. And that's pretty much where most of our streets will be. But a photo allows them to gauge that as quickly as possible.
I think the South Road from buses from the school, it gets
Yeah,
so heavy
it does.
used.
And unfortunately, the problem is they don't have enough people to keep monitoring it. So the thing is, the more we report it and take photos of it, the more they'll respond. They also pointed out if there's an urgent thing on Fix My Street, there's a phone number, which they say can give a 2 hours response. Which is a pothole crisis, but it's still worth knowing.
And just to confirm, that phone number
Yeah.
does work even out of hours, because
24 hours all the time.
I think, was it the Christmas market that a lorry went over
Oh, that's right.
and left a massive hole in the drain. I mean, it took a while to get through, but actually got through, and then somebody was out within the hour and had made it safe. I didn't know about the app though, so it's Fix My Street app.
I unfortunately carry it on my phone, so I take a lot of photos, a lot of points.
I think
The
we'll,
interesting thing was I was getting frustrated because they kept not being responded to, and that's because this version, Northamptonshire County Council's old bit of the app, was basically shutting them down. They've now reset everything
right.
as of the 1st of April. It's not a joke, it's April Fool's Day was when they reset it. But the idea is they're now being more responsive.
Well,
Now,
we
I don't know if it's true, but
But we can advertise
if
that.
we keep pushing
Get that
that
out.
relationship, it
Yeah.
can't do us any harm. The last point they wanted to make was if it doesn't happen, they normally say, here's the date it will happen by. If it doesn't, re-report it and tell us, and we can chase it, which is a pain, but
Do they publicise the app where you report potholes on the website?
you are sent to the site.
So it does send, but not to say,
It
please
says
use
the
the
app
app.
exists, but it does send it to either Fix My Street or Street Doctor, which are the same thing, but they're different. It's not
No.
ideal.
Is there any way we could put a little article in the Oundle Advertiser or something? So it
We've
goes,
had it, we've done it a few times, but
what
we
about
should do
the
it
app
again.
and,
We should do it again.
yeah.
Maybe
just
there's
to remind
space in the
people.
newsletter, but I don't think there's any space, but we can certainly mention it next week. and keep
Yeah.
finding it.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing, it's quite easy to use,
Yeah.
and in theory, once you're logged in, it will remember who you are.
So how do you do it then? Just go onto the
Uh,
website and
I
just download them and see?
Well, absolutely, Google Play.
Mm.
Yeah. And then you just take photos. And it's done. So it was in the end worth going to Weymouth.
Can I just say something?
Certainly.
There were a few big people and a vehicle in Bassett-Ford Road recently mending a pothole, and I had to stop because I couldn't get down my road. And I went to talk to them and said, "Oh, this is great, we're doing the potholes at last. I'm so pleased to see you." And they were only doing this one, madam.
Yeah.
You know, and there were potholes worse than this one. Why this particular one? I think somebody had made a big fuss. But it's not economical, is it?
No,
There's
it's
any way
selling
to
them,
do
yeah.
one pothole.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the questions that was raised at the meeting. Their answer, lots of questions about why do you fix one pothole when the next one is not fixed. Their answer was intervention criteria. So if they assess that this pothole is X and there's a pothole over there that's Y, they'll go and deal with the Y pothole before the next one here. And they admit it looks stupid, which is fine. I don't think I'll ever change.
So the more times you individually complain about that individual pothole,
I think
the more chance you've got of having it dealt with.
No, you can. I think you can only really the same pothole could only be reported once.
you can add.
You can add to the report, but it'll already be flagged. So
So it doesn't.
it doesn't make any difference how many times.
And the other problem is, because I've tried this, if you take a photo of that pothole and that pothole and that pothole and that pothole, they have these mysterious community stewards that no one knows who they are and they're not named. And they come out, they say, that's the most important one. So you can't play the system.
With their ruler.
With their ruler.
Yeah.
They also did agree that there were different, sometimes you see yellow paint, and white paint, and red paint. They're not different ratios of pothole. They're different people doing the roads. There's Kia's community stewards, and then NC's something else stewards. They have different colour paint.
I thought they just picked up the nearest possible paint.
But what they can do is they apparently the back of their car have some cold tarmac. And if they think it's bad enough, they slap that in, pound it down, spray temp on it, and a temporary pothole will always get 28 days of repair, so it will always be fixed properly in 28 days. And I disputed this, and I took them to show them one that I disputed and it had been fixed. So I took them in the right out myself. But never mind. But again, it was good to talk to them, and it's good to learn about the cyclical work on verges and drains and all that sort of stuff. And I think if we understand their system a bit better, we can probably utilise that. So yeah, thank you, Wellingborough, Kia, whatever it was. Thank you. 2416 planning matters. To see the minutes of the planning committee on the 7th of May. David?
Yeah, as you know, we've moved our planning meetings to the end of the month, the beginning of the month, to accommodate the estates. The only problem initially was that left us an enormous gap between the meeting at the end of May and one that we'd have had at the beginning of April. So we decided we'd do a meeting on the normal day, which started at 8 o'clock, giving the estate's time to finish, which worked to the extent that we were for it. The only thing that really draws your attention is this. Unusually, when you look at the planning outcomes, there are two that were refused, neither of which we had actually asked them to refuse. Normally our problem is that we ask them to refuse things and then we don't grant permission. On these two occasions, actually, we didn't have an objection. They did make some comments on one of them, but they were both refused. One on the recommendation, I think, of the conservation officer, property benefit road. And interestingly enough, some illuminated signage on a listed property in West Street where arguably what was proposed was contrary to our own sort of internal planning guidance. But on balance, the committee decided not to object to it. And then the NNC, so don't get used to it, took a look at it, and for all the reasons that we adopted our planning guidance in the first place, then turned around and refused it. So it's always slightly difficult to second guess what they may do. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else that I wish to draw to your attention specifically. Other than perhaps just to mention in passing, there are two blocks of garages essentially left. One is off St Peter's Road, and the other one, which isn't too far away, off Springfield Road. Both popped up in the same meeting, seeking permission to have the garages demolished and dwellings erected. One of them on a site which had got planning permission in 2015, although the town council had objected then to the loss of the garages. We took a slightly different view 9 years on to the loss of the garages, and in fact didn't object to either of those applications. But with those applications, with one that we know is coming through for the garages that border the recreation ground, and with another one that has already come up in relation to some of the remaining garages in St Peter's Road, I think by my calculation, all of these end up with permission. There won't be a single rental garage left in town. Which shows how times have changed, but I'm not utterly convinced by it, because if you think about the area around Springfield Road and St Peter's Road, a lot of those properties do not have garages. They have little choice but to park on the road. St Peter's Road is a bit of a spiraling course at the best of times, and then that development is fully finished, and having cars displaced onto the road is not going to be good, if that were to be the impact. Time will tell.
Are they actually used as spaces where people put a car?
Well, it's
I've
an
never once
interesting
seen a car going
conundrum
around
because
there. Cars there every day.
information suggests that as garages became freed up, those who owned them weren't interested in letting them out again. It's also perhaps fair to say that a number of the garages have for some years been used, as many people use their garages to store everything in it but a car. And I believe I'm right in saying that Angle and District Care Committee are one of the users of the garages because they keep old supply mobility aids in with them. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do about the loss of that space. Something we'll try and find out about. But they're not well used, but I think that might be partially induced by the owners who could see the development potential. Because they had an awful lot of money to put 2 or 3 houses on the site. They're operating a number of garages. I think one site had 11.
Well, presumably that means all cars that you alluded to are probably already on the road then.
They may very well be on the roads. I think we also dealt with an application very recently in St Peter's Road, where one of the bungalows, which has only got on-road parking, decided to take up what little front garden area it had in order to get the car off the road. We've been really seeing more of that.
My observation is that a lot of the garages, the ones that the kind we're talking about attached to the smaller houses, are not particularly well looked after, are they?
And just
That's
on that
the other
basis, a year or 2 ago, we had big issues with social behaviour at the back of one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Some of the doors were smashed in, people were drinking in them.
Yeah.
etc. So I think they're certainly the ones off the closest to Peter's Road, so walk down and sometimes there's a lot of these.
Yeah, they're not very well looked after. I think they're a nice lot, actually.
Well, it's exactly Epsom, and, they are usually brick or concrete based with asbestos roofs, so there probably no loss in that sense.
Okay, thank you for watching brief. Estates Management Committee, Jamie.
I think the biggest thing, it's pretty flat here, actually, is probably the parking in Drupal car park. Have you got any with you?
The big signs.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I go and get the big sign?
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
Oh, well, no, we won't get the big sign.
They don't, I've not, where they were in the office, they're not there, and I don't know whether the other bit's been put on them yet.
No, they're going to stay separate.
Yes.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm.
The signage is a bit confusing.
Do you want me to have a quick look?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
You like to see sign?
I'll get some.
So we had a conversation
Yeah.
whether we should put a sticker over the bit of sign that doesn't work. If we do that, the sign becomes invalid. So we're
What
going
their
to
sign?
their sign, because they then can't enforce it. So we're going to put our little sign next to their sign.
Got this, but I've got the other.
That's fine. So that phrase, authorised vehicles only, a valid permit must be clearly displayed. Apparently that has to be there. So we're going to put on our sign, we don't have any valid permits, but we're reviewing it. We can review it for the next 10 years, and that's fine. So those two signs together do make it legal. So hopefully it will have the impact that we'll announce this, talk about this at the annual town meeting, we'll put letters off, we'll put notices up, they won't go up for quite some time.
So the
And the very-
residents who live nearby then
We're going to
will
put
not be
letters
able
through
to
them.
park.
No, they'll be able to park
They will.
up to a week.
Yeah.
And the very worst case
Up to
scenario.
a week.
Yeah.
Up to a week, and then we've then got a week's grace
Week by week, right?
to then do something about it. And then, and only then, we do anything about it. So it's 2 weeks' time. It's the only issue is to get rid of the problem of car park. We had that to do that for 2 years. We don't have the power to do anything about it.
Who monitors the cars? It's not done automatically.
No, you'll
So
be
it's
us.
only
If
if
someone
one kind of
complains.
looks a bit abandoned, you keep an eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that will put the fear into lots of people who live locally.
Well, that's why we want to make sure they know before the signs go up, but it's not to catch them.
Okay.
It's to stop people selling cars.
So the NCP people don't
Which is
walk
where-
around with their.
The only people that will enforce it would be us, and even if we did enforce it, signs are wrong, we won't be able to enforce it. So it's around the soft touches they have.
People in the town who know that we've got this concern are very good about reporting these vehicles. We've had recent experience of a Lonsdale car park in Benefit Road, that people have been using car park spaces to sell vehicles.
Yes.
So this hopefully gives us a tool. And then if it's a trial after 12 months, it hasn't cost us anything, we won't do it anymore, or we might, but the whole point is we're not going to start policing information. It just gives us the ability, but unfortunately, the signs have to go up, which looks scary, but hence the propaganda.
But look, I know I've said this before, I think to just pick on one car park is just ridiculous. So if you're going to do it, you can do it, should have looked the whole town. And at least then the car parks that are monitored by us, because then therefore it doesn't just pick on Benefit Road's car park, because I think that will send a message to the residents. I think they need some really strong reassurance, because if there's a hint that after a week they may have to just move their car and go somewhere else, they may take it that they'll just stick the car out on Benefit Road.
That's.
No, hang on. And I think the importance here is all this, once we decided we were going to use NPC, who have a system of whereby they would want to take action, because it's all about making money for them. We should have probably done the resident bit. I know we've got annual town meeting next week, but some of that probably should have been proprietary work before we tabled it, as they are our taxpayers, if that makes sense. That's my personal view around it. I don't agree with it. I think for one car, where a car in there, yes, I get that. And we should have had the facility to be able to, and we didn't, from what we're told. But notices on cars to say, please remove this within 28 days by a council, generally has the view, the very car that we talk about is no longer there. So I just thought it was a big stick for a very small set of circumstances.
Just to counter that,
And with that,
it wasn't the only thing. So there were
but
four.
whatever.
Brandon? David?
Well, moving on just from that, if you look at the minutes to the meeting, and it's actually pretty true for most of the estates management minutes, you see update C report, which is fine if you have access to the report,
Yeah.
but means that those who haven't seen the reports look at the minutes and are struggling at times. And literally in that set of minutes, there are 10 separate reports referred to, none of which are actually attached to the minutes. I appreciate the difficulty with that is that the reports might of themselves be quite lengthy, and suddenly a full-page document could become a sort of 20-page document. And on the other hand, it would actually make it easier for councillors to follow along on that committee. Personally, I'd like to see those reports added to the minutes. If I can look at by the committee next month.
I think I have to agree with Councillor Chaplin. If it relates to a decision we're going to make before council, then please can we see that report that it relates to?
Yeah,
If
which
it's
you
just a
do,
note,
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, obviously, well, I don't know whether these went to estates, but normally things like quotes that are over the limit
Yeah.
would go, and then you would see that. Any decision, you would see the report and all the information that goes with that.
And the same report did come before us a couple of months ago, and we did approve it. So
Yeah.
this is the second time it's gone back to estates.
Mhm.
Having come from estates to us, we approved it, went back to estates. So in that particular case, there are copies around. Thank you much, Chairman. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Lovely. So 2418, Comms Working Party draft newsletter. There are paper copies around the place and presentation for the town meeting. And consider who will be presenting. It's sort of a similar basis of what we did last year,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Mhm.
Our stuff up first and then NNC and other stuff towards the end. NNC, we haven't heard back from.
I know that Jason Smithers and, well, I'm assuming Jason Smithers won't be there. Charlie Best has given his apologies, and I haven't heard anything back from Helen Harrison, so I don't know.
What we do know is that the Northampton bus man is hopefully coming
Mhm.
to hopefully announce the improvements to the bus services in the next few weeks, months, years at some point. So hopefully there'll be someone to fill that spot towards the end of it.
And also volunteer action. The chair would like to just stand up and say a few words. Just about, I think they need volunteers, but also the amount of miles that they've done and what they've been doing. If so,
And the bit about the Leslie Sandbrook thing, is that there
Yes.
to talk? Or
yes, she will be coming, and she's going to bring some copies of the survey, and also talk a little bit about the programme.
Lovely.
So,
Sorry.
On 24/18, not sure whether we've moved on. There's just one small point I'd like to make about draft report. Would it not be better if the Rose Gallery up here showed the pictures of the mayor and deputy we elected this evening?
well, I think the looking back is the old mayor, and hopefully David will just present that a little bit.
No, Ruth was talking about where we are
The actions of the photographs.
So,
Otherwise, it might throw the public.
Well, it's
If
only
we
a
gave
draft.
it out of
yeah,
date.
it's only a draft.
It's only a draft.
Yeah.
So, yeah, switch them around.
My thoughts on this, obviously I emailed a few and have
Mhm.
changed, which is great, but there's no, it would be good to have kind of a link to the Creative Foundry website. So don't you think it's in there, just so it looks like, because we do work with them, we do donate.
I think what we're trying to achieve is this is the town council's newsletter. I think we would possibly include that in maybe in other, like the Advertiser or something like this, but this is something that we're just,
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking that, you know, you do, we as a council support lots of organisations, and that is, so it would be quite nice to show that. I think that's a real positive thing. that
Yeah,
council
no, I
does.
think it is, and we can reference that in the presentation.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
also John's ambition for this, I think, was that there was something for people to take
Mm.
away
yeah.
Okay.
with reference points. So that's actually.
So I think it should be referenced, whether it's in the presentation, just I think it's a real positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing though is that we can do that, but then there are a lot of, we'd stand there and
But
list.
almost, even if you just had a slide with what we do, you know, a quick kind of, this is what we're involved in, rather than talking about individual things. I don't know, it's just another.
Maybe take it up with John.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah.
But it's just not-
Might be a bit late for next week, but maybe something for future, yeah.
So, David, will you be okay to reflect on the looking back bit, and we've got some text in the looking forward bit? And then if people are willing to jump up and do what they can, maybe if there are questions about various sections. Jamie, are you still willing to sort of field any thanks themes that come?
Yeah.
Excellent. And planning.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
Right, we'll strive something together for the looking forward bit.
Yeah.
And the agenda, there we go. Employment or update, we've received. And then any other relevant matters for report only. Or anything to report, we're going to go into a closed session in a minute. Anything to report next, Lisa? No, Jamie?
Yeah, two questions, I think. One is Flettonfield part of No Mow May? Do we know?
No.
Okay, in that case, who currently mows Flettonfield?
I think some parts of it are mowed by the Flettonfield Association, but obviously it's still at this moment in time owned by North Northants Council.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I've had a few people ask me if it's going to be mowed, and I said, I don't know if it's part of the May.
I think
Not quite nice, but.
I think a path is left, but I think they've always left the bit in the middle, or they leave that quite long for a while. I know, I mean, when I've been in there, there's been a path cut, but I don't know whether the Flettonfield Association, what they're doing with it at the moment.
Okay. The second thing is, someone said related, is there's a walk, I think it must go onto the school. It's Cartine in Flettonfield.
Yeah,
Is that coming from the chapel side?
Yeah, actually.
I think that's something that's.
yeah, Amy Scott's involved in that, as are NNC as well, I think. There are some conversations going on about that.
They all sort it out for me.
Mm.
Rupert, any report only matters?
In other words, I take it you're asking whether I have anything to add to my ongoing efforts to secure additional medical premises.
No, just
The short answer
anything,
is,
anything.
the short answer is, very little. It's going to be a long haul, and I think we'll get there in the end. Because after all, our MP has volunteered to come in support. But inevitably, the senior officer at the NHS Northamptonshire Intake Commissioning Board plays things very much by the book, her book. So I'll need to play it gently, and I repeat, I think we'll get there in the end.
Lovely, thank you very much. David?
I wish I had Councillor Reichhold's faith in other organisations. Councillors may recall that I floated the idea of revisiting our neighbourhood plan. And as a starting point, I was going to engage in discussions with Northants Council. Well, 2 months or so later, I'm still trying to engage in discussions with Northants Council, because although Councillor Harrison very rapidly gave me a name, and then Mrs. rapidly gave me a different name, and then Chase had said different name for me, I didn't get a response. I still haven't got anything at all. I will contact her again and point out that nobody has actually bothered to get back to us, which I find disappointing, because we had all these difficulties with ENC when we were trying to do this work in the first time round. And here we are saying to them, look, we want to engage with you from the outset. We can't even get a first base. And I'm not really sure what the explanation is, other than the fact that we all know that the planning department there is in shambles. It doesn't have enough staff. I've had a recent complaint from somebody who put in a planning application, and they're supposed to be determined within a certain amount of time. I think it's now gone over 6 months, and it's still not resolved. And as much as anything, it is down to a lack of personnel, or Fred starts it, and then halfway through Fred disappears, and eventually Frida picks up on it. But it's really not good.
Yeah, I just concur that I had a friend that came to me and said what we're doing, and I don't know. You might move up higher up the food chain. And I think he ended up going to the MP, and it was suddenly then dealt with and it was resolved in relatively good short space of time. Which is shocking really, when you think that, again, the residents of towns all around and other villages are paying their council tax, and the lion's share of that goes to NNC, and they're offering a poor service. So as a council, from an enforcement perspective, we're poor. They've got 1.5 members of staff, I think. So anytime we put, if they're lucky, and so if we put anything forward that we're not happy with or whatever, it's just not, and it's not unique to ours.
No, it's happening in Higham, Ferrers,
Even
and
say that about
Thrapston.
Peterborough, they are, and they don't have the funds to do the enforcement bit, so we go through the motion.
I think we touched on an important issue about enforcement, because we've got one building site and there's something going on. We're getting a second one, but people are already upset about it. There's going to be a third. The planning enforcement team don't do anything, so it's the Wild West, really. You just need to watch what's going on in Corby with things being built in places. Depressingly. Val?
No,
Liz?
So the only thing I was going to say regarding correspondence about the NatWest building, I think I read, I'm not sure it was this minutes or the last one, about the, whether, rather than just write off the fact that, yes, the front of it's boarded up and we just have to all live with it. A lot of people moan that it's something really scruffy. And is there a way we could find out the owner and approach them about whether they can replace the glass?
There is an interesting article in the.
Yes.
About
Okay.
exactly that, saying that the owners have delegated their responsibility to the town for both the NatWest and the Barclays. But I don't know how we can chase them down. It might be that the cash review helps us to do that in some way.
Is it worth us trying to contact them and have a conversation?
I'd agree with that, because there are, I'm aware of what councils like us, over the food chain, they can actually sometimes take action to they do the repairs, and then they almost like bill back to the company, and then the company get that back through rent, and then they rent, and once they've got the rent back, if they're still receiving rent, they give the person who owns the building back, but they do make sure, the premise, I know we've had that before, and there's another premise in West Street, we had a previous issue that still sits.
I'm not sure how punchy NNC are.
Well, this is the thing, where do we go when it does, it just needs a,
I mean, I think it's a conversation with who owns it now, because I don't think NatWest owns it.
or who's managing it.
Or who's managing it, and say, what's happening, this is not looking very, can we meet and have a chat about it? I'm happy to have that conversation with them. but it's how we find out the names.
I know, I don't really know how you find out.
No. Well, let's see if the link review does anything. And I might talk to the Chronicle and see if they found anything about it.
I believe that it's certainly not anybody in Alnwick who owns it. It's way back somewhere. Nobody's managing to find out who actually owns the building.
Yeah.
The room has it figures on that.
Well, I think, well, I
You
live,
know,
That's the interest.
so, yeah,
It's not you, is it?
It's, or the only thing I know is that the flats where we live are owned separately through the building underneath. So there's no shadow.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So they must be paying council tax, even if it's empty. They still have to pay, even if the building's empty. So somebody, there must be some record.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be able to get that information from NNC.
But you can get, obviously, the ownership of the property by simply going to the land registry and taking a official copy of the register. Which will
I mean, it is up for that, you can read the number where it says up to that.
Yeah.
That's probably an agent though, isn't it?
Well, it's an agent, but the agent could pass information on, but maybe we could.
I don't think the agent would pass information on of a private owner.
I know we're a report only, but if Liz was accidentally phoned the agent.
No, I can definitely do that as a resident.
So,
Right.
just three things from me. One, it was on the website or something about Antoinette getting the vice lord at tendency of Northamptonshire. She was nearby, she's a resident. So we suggested maybe we should write to her as a formal letter of congratulations. On moth traps, have been built, and we're trying to get some schools involved with moth trapping for the recovery program over the next few weeks. And the last thing was, David's referred to the Brilliant Vintage Festival. I went up to Peter's Tower for the first time, which was great. And while up there, I was talking to some of the friends of St. Peter's Tower who've got quite an interesting idea about trying to illuminate the tower itself, spire maybe. And we talked about whether it would be good to be able to illuminate it different colours. So remember, Sunday, red, something like that. We've put them in contact with the conservation officer at NNC, because it's in conservation zone, see what comes of it. But it was an interesting conversation, and their view is that if a spire is better advertised from the 605, people will come to Athens. So the Business Association might have to. Anyhow, I thought it was a good idea. So, thank you very much, everyone. Last two sections, we're going to go into closed session, as it were. So please note, in view of the special confidential nature of business about to be transacted, it's advisable that the public interest of the public be temporarily excluded, and they're instructed to withdraw. Anyone to propose that? David is. I will second it. We're all okay to approve that. Thank you very much indeed. Do we need to shut all this down?